Great. So welcome to the show, Venese. It's wonderful to have you with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to chat with you.
Yeah, and I'm excited because you're the first person that I've interviewed who is a specialist when it comes to events, which is something I've done a lot in the past. And it's something that I really don't enjoy because it's one of those things that if you get it perfect and you put every aspect in and get all these little details right, nobody notices. And I just found that really frustrating. It's
No,
a
I
lot of
totally agree.
pressure.
Yeah.
So I'd love to speak to you a little bit about events and the role that they can play in building a business. But first, can you explain to us a little bit about how you got your business started in the first place?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually fell into my business out of nowhere. I never thought that I would have a business, but it just kind of happened. So I lived in Australia for high school and I moved to Japan when I was 18. And when I just got there, I was like, okay, I don't know anybody. So I started going out to parties and just meeting different people. And through that, I started promoting for events and promoting for club events, met a lot of different people, worked with a lot of sponsors. And then I thought, okay, I love it so much, like running events and doing marketing and doing PR events. And I established my company. So it was completely out of nowhere. And it became my events and marketing company. And I started working with all these different brands, bringing international brands into Japan and helping local Japanese brands bring their presence into, like, either in front of an international audience or overseas. So that was kind of like the beginning of my journey.
Wow, I love that you kind of fulfilled a need that you had and found a passion, and it was obviously something that you really were interested in because not many people go to parties and then start promoting them. I mean, it's always
Mhm.
a great thing to do, and when I'm going to networking events, I always try and promote it a little bit beforehand and get some brownie points with the organizers, which always plays out well.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you did more than just say, "Hey, come along to this event I'm going to," that you actually found that you a way of doing that that gets results and the way that you were really
Yeah.
enjoying. So I love that passion just came up for you and then became your business.
Yeah, I think for me it was a lot of because I've always been a very outgoing, like very like people person, I'd say. For me, it was kind of just like what you said. It was like my passion, my interest, and I kind of took that and like started doing different things and expanding my network. And that's why for me, I think like connections is super important when it comes to any part of your life, business, and just like being able to basically survive in this society.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's interesting that that's something that comes up quite often on this show. And I really think that when you build out a strong network, it's your shortcut to everything because you never
Mhm.
know who knows who, or I've started three businesses on zero marketing budget because I just went straight to my network and said, hey, this is what I'm doing now, and they recommended me. They shared some contacts. They talked about me with their own network, and some of those people became my clients immediately. So it's just so powerful, but also in terms of learning about an industry, staying inspired, finding people
Mhm.
who have the same sort of vision and passion as you that can support you on your journey. And there are so many brilliant reasons to have a network. Is there
Mhm.
anything that you discovered along the way that you've kind of made your system for building your network or finding the right people?
I think for me, it's just all about, being honest and being as genuine as you can be. I know it sounds very basic and simple, but I think that nowadays there's a lot of false advertising. There's a lot of, fake it till you make it mindset. And I'm not like calling out anybody or anything like that, but I truly believe that no matter what industry or what your purpose is or what your motive might be, just stay true to yourself and just be, like don't exaggerate things and just try to be as honest as possible. I think that goes, for anything, right? Like not just business, but even personal lives. It can truly help your way of networking. And also just don't, I see this a lot actually when people badmouth other people. don't do that. I mean, like sometimes, it's such a small thing, but then it can come back and bite you in the butt. So it's better to kind of again stay true to yourself and just be honest and genuine in everything that you do.
Yeah. I just couldn't agree more with everything you just said. And I know for myself, when I started networking like properly, when I really realized that, oh, I need this, and particularly in Switzerland, everything is done through your network. It's really the way that businesses are built, friendships are built, all of that. So it's really such an important skill to learn. But in the early days, I'm an introvert, and I found that really, really difficult. And I just saw a lady that I know that I worked with, and we ran a women's network together. And she was just amazing. She had this amazing presence. She would walk in a room, she would talk to anyone. And I asked, like, can I just hang out with you and learn how you do it? And she said, sure, sure, come along. And it was great because she started introducing me. So that was nice. I didn't have to have that awkward part. But very
Mhm,
quickly, I realized I was never going to be able to do it the way she did. I was
mhm,
trying to be like outgoing and exuberant, and it just felt wrong. And the conversations just didn't feel right. And so
mhm,
I had to go back to the drawing board and think, right, I need to find my own way and start with, well, who am I? And I always had this sort of nagging doubt that I had value to offer. And thought, well, do I? Do I have value to offer? Can I do this? Can I go into an event and then I realized sometimes even just the value I can offer is not being the one with all the answers, but inviting people into a conversation and learning from them and giving them the space. So I started from there, and then it just worked so much easier. And I
mhm.
built my confidence more showing up and being myself. I
Yeah,
was,
I actually, yeah. Sorry, I'm just gonna interject for a second,
yeah.
but I love what you just said because I feel like there's so many really confident and outgoing people like in events especially, and obviously like if everybody's super outgoing and super just like talking over each other, then it's not really going to work. Whereas if you go in, just stay true to yourself. If you're someone that is more comfortable listening, then you can go in there and ask questions, and that makes people feel like they're being heard, right? Like
Mm.
you're not just all talking over each other. It's more like oh, I'm having a true conversation. And that whole part about introducing other people into the conversation, I think that's such a good skill that everyone, if you already do it, you should try to do it. Where when someone is like off to the corner, like introduce that person into the conversation. That makes everyone feel like you're kind of helping out with the conversation, helping other people, supporting the event. And that is truly one great tip. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of saw my role instead of being like the center of attention, I was a bit more of a quiet facilitator. And it worked really nicely. And I built my network very quickly and built trust as well, because as you say, people like to be heard. And
Mhm,
giving people your time and focus is really one of the biggest gifts you can give. And they really appreciated that. So it all started to come together. And I realized, okay, you don't need to be loud or funny or any specific type of person to network. You just have to show up and be yourself and be genuine.
mhm, mhm,
And over time it takes courage to get started, but over time you build the confidence to keep going. And that does,
mhm.
and I see that that confidence then shows up in other areas of your life. It shows up more in your business, and I was able to then start public speaking, which was something I was always interested in, but of course thought was terrified of. And it's really like grown from there, so it's been great.
Yeah, yeah.
So you mentioned that you help brands to promote their events.
Mhm.
What role do you think an event can play in building a brand or building a business?
Absolutely. I think events are so essential, and not just events in the sense of, like having hundreds of people come into a hall and, like have a drink and all that kind of thing, but even the experience that you bring through the brand, through your branding, and also through any kind of content that you create. So, I think at the end of the day, like no matter what you're doing, you want to evoke some kind of feeling, some kind of emotion with your audience. So I feel like for me, every single thing that I do with my company or with my brand or with my clients, it's, you know, like provoking that little bit of like excitement or that whatever emotion that the brand wants to make them feel. So for example, I was working with Red Bull for a little while, helping them with creating their events, and they're all about excitement and energy, right? And a lot of the events that we did for them was about, you know, creating a memorable experience where people would have a Red Bull and feel like, you know, they're ready to have a good evening and, you know, network and chat with each other. So I think at the end of the day, no matter what kind of event, all kind of sizes, it doesn't matter if it's like a 5 people event, a like a, even like a one-on-one situation, or like thousands of people are at your event. It's all about creating that memorable, like, you know, like personalized experience for your audience.
I love that. And I'm all about creating client experiences because, as you say, that's what makes something memorable. And if you think back to the events in your life that stand out for you, they're all wrapped into an experience. It's not just a
Mhm.
something you buy off the shelf, and it's more something you've had, and particularly when it's been an experience you've enjoyed with other people as well. So I think
Mhm.
that's a great start point when you're creating an event, to think about what is that feeling you want people to walk away with, and then build that in
Mhm.
from the very beginning. What great
Mhm.
advice.
Yeah, and for I think any kind of brand or company or even like solopreneurs or entrepreneurs or service providers, you know, like tying in events into the business can really make you feel like so much closer, like make your audience feel so much closer to you, because you're there, right? You're there, like facilitating every little thing, you know, the lighting or the like if it's a virtual event, you know, like what kind of platform you're using, the copywriting, and you know, is it through a video, is it maybe even like a live video? So whereas normally people might only see you through images or infographics or blogs or YouTube videos, it's like they can feel really close to you. It's like Clubhouse nowadays because it's blowing up, right? Like Clubhouse is another great example because people can feel that you're with them in real time. They can feel like, you know, they can raise their hand, ask you a question, and you can, you know, like feel right there, be right there and just like answer anything that they might have for you. So you know, it just makes things so much more personalized. So I that's why I really love events, and I think like every single brand and every company, every entrepreneur should consider adding events into their marketing strategy.
I'm gonna have to rethink my strategy now. Yeah, I burned out from the events I used to do as part of my marketing role many years ago, and I'm just like, right, that's it, I'm not doing any more events, so I'll have to think again. So is there any advice you can offer, well, to me or anyone else out there who's like, oh, but where do I even start with putting on an event? Is there any essentials that need to be in place, that or ways to keep it simple?
Mhm. I think the first step is for sure knowing the reason of you putting on that event. So, for example, if it's like a even like a networking event just for your own community, you know, that's about building relationship. That's about, you know, collaboration and just making like having that opportunity to chat with your audience one-on-one. So if you were to do a networking event, it just keep things simple. I know like it can be, oh my gosh, like there's so many software and so many tools out there, like which one should I go with? Just keep everything super simple. If you're going to do a virtual event, there's Zoom. Just use Zoom. Don't even worry about like investing into all these different other tools. If you're going to do an in-person event, again, think about what's the purpose of it. Start with something small, keep it simple. If you are not confident in speaking in front of the audience, hire someone to do it for you. You know, like outsourcing is super powerful when it comes to doing anything in your business. So I think ultimately my biggest tip is to just like keep it super simple, just get it out there, do it. And then even if it's not perfect, your audience gonna know that you put in the effort, and they will come back for more. And if they like it, then they'll tell more people about it. And that's kind of how you grow. So just, yeah, just keep it simple and get it out there.
I love that. I'm always saying on the show as well, one of my favorite phrases to ask myself on a regular basis is just, how could this be simpler? Because we're always masters of complicating things. So sometimes it's good to just strip things back. And I think in my old experiences when I was doing events many years ago, I was definitely still a perfectionist. I hadn't learned that it's okay for it not to be 100% perfect. So I know I did put myself under extraordinary amounts of pressure, and that's really put me off ever since. But yeah, I think now the position I'm at now is really much more progress over perfection. So I think if you just go for it, from what you're saying, if you go for it, put on an event, learn what it takes, and you can refine it over time, but it's going to come
Yeah.
across as genuine anyway.
Absolutely. I actually love that you bring up the perfectionism part because I think entrepreneurs, especially female entrepreneurs, just get so caught up in, like trying to make their logos perfect, their branding, their website. It can be very scary to click that publish button. I completely understand that. But at the same time, like if you don't put it out there, no one will ever see it. And also, just because you click that publish button doesn't mean that like everyone in the world is going to get notified that your business is live. So just it's going to change, it's going to evolve. Like every part of your business is going to be different, like as you grow. So it's so important to just do it and just get it out there. Same with events. Oh my gosh, I can't even begin to tell you how terrible the first graphic I ever made for my first event. So I made it with Photoshop. I just learned it. And like now when I look back on it, I cringe. Like it was absolutely horrible. I mean, it wasn't horrible, but it wasn't my best work. But I got it out there. I tried my best. And actually the first ever event I did myself as well. I lost a lot of money, but I think it's through failing. And I wouldn't even say it's a failure. It's a lesson. I learned through that lesson and I knew how to do it better the next time, and then the next time, and then the next time. And it just like you can't learn unless you do it. You can't build, you can't grow unless you put yourself out there. So I think the most important part is just like get over your oh my god, perfectionism and just do it.
Oh, I love everything you just said. And you say, failure is actually really important. We learn so much from our failures, but it's important to see it as information. It's not a reflection on our inabilities to do anything. It's just telling us some information that's going to help us be better next time. And it's really important to have that perspective, I think, and to have that growth mindset, which I think is one of the biggest challenges when you come out of a corporate environment and you go into an entrepreneurial environment, having that freedom to grow and make mistakes. And nothing depends on that. Your bonus doesn't depend on that anymore. It doesn't matter. You're going to grow through that. And as you say, in your first events and the first time you publish your website or do a graphic, we have this perception, oh my gosh, the world is going to see this and I'm going to look terrible, but the reality is hardly anyone is going to see it, so it really doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think even for my first ever promote like event, I told you, right? Like it failed. But like I mean, to be honest, no one knows about it. Just because I failed that one time, like maybe a few people were like, "Oh, we came, it wasn't great, but you did the best you could." And that's fine. And then the next time you do it, more people will know about it because you know better how to promote it. Same with your business. Like my first version of my website as well was terrible. My copywriting, oh my gosh, like I don't like my copy was horrible and I don't even want to ever read that again. But it's okay because if I never put it out there, I would have never like made it evolve to the way that it is today. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I remember my website, I didn't even have a website. I was a communication consultant in my first business when I started like 13 years ago. And I didn't have a website for, I think, 2 or 3 years. And then when I did, it was just like a page with a paragraph and a stock photo and an image and an email. There's ever I turned up for things and everyone was like, oh, you don't look like your picture. I was like, oh, that's not me. That's just a photo I found. Like, why would you put your picture on there? So I was like, oh, and then I had pictures and I had that. So over time, it's evolved very, very slowly. But even for a communication consultant, it wasn't perfect and it wasn't even there for the beginning. It was actually my network. I didn't need a website because my network
Yeah.
was strong. So yeah,
Yeah, that's why
that's it.
networking is so powerful.
Yeah, exactly. You never know where your network's going to take you.
Yeah. Also, like, I just want to like add one more point about this. Speaking about network, I think one of the things that people like get so caught up with in the very beginning of their businesses is, you know, niching down, because everyone talks about it. Everyone says find your niche. And I'm not saying don't find your niche, but I'm saying that it's okay if you don't know exactly that like target avatar, like the ideal avatar. Like, you don't have to know exactly who that person is in the very beginning, because you don't know and you won't know. um you know, like that, like at the very beginning, like it's all about networking and like finding people that is in your industry, right? Like, obviously you should know your industry and roughly what your niche could be. And then through networking you'll find more opportunities, you'll find, you know, like projects that get thrown your way, and you know, it's time to say yes, just because it doesn't fit into that tiny little box that you have made for yourself doesn't mean that you should say no to these opportunities. And you know, like through networking there will be so many amazing things that will come your way. And I think honestly the way that I grew was, you know, through saying yes to things, to different projects and different, you know, like clients coming and asking me to help them with certain things, and I say, oh, you know what, it aligns with where I want to go in like say a few years. It's not something completely random, and I'm going to do it because it's a great opportunity, it's a great project, or you know, like a great client to have. That's how I got into like working with Red Bull and like other brands, fashion brands. I've worked with a lot of entertainment brands. I also work with like music festivals as well. Like, I never thought I was actually going to do that, but like they came my way, and I'm like, yes, like it's obviously like if it's something like, you know, health and fitness, like I could not help them. Like, I don't know much about it, but it still is in my area of expertise. So you know, like it's okay not to niche down to a very specific area in the very beginning, and say yes to opportunities. I think that ties in so well with networking, because that really opens up so many doors for you.
Yeah, I love what you're saying, and I want to pick on something that you mentioned in particular, because you're right, it can take time to find your niche. You don't want to go out there and build your business for everyone, because that's definitely not your niche.
Yeah.
But you want to start somewhere, but it doesn't need to be super specific, and you can develop that over time once you learn where your skills land most with your people, who you really enjoy working with. But
Mhm.
in my first business as a communication consultant, I did say yes to every opportunity. But one thing you pointed out that you did that I didn't do, and I nearly went to like burned out, because I was saying yes to everything because I could do them, but these things weren't aligned to my purpose. They weren't aligned to my passion. They weren't aligned to anything. I mean, they paid well, and it was something I could do, but I found myself going towards a burnout because it wasn't work that filled me up. It didn't give me joy. It wasn't exciting. I didn't enjoy who I was working with. And so I love that you pointed out that you said yes to those opportunities that aligned to your future vision. And I think that is key, that yes, say yes to everything, but have a bit of a filter on that. Don't just say yes blindly, but stay like, have that future vision, know where sort of you want to go, and what you kind of thing you
Mhm.
enjoy, and then say yes to opportunities that are going to help you grow in that direction, and test out new things. So I think it's a bit of yes, but with a bit of intelligence brought into it, which I didn't have when I started it all. So I love that you really said that
No.
these align to you, and I wanted to really highlight that point because I think it's so important.
Thank you for pointing that out. I think actually I say it with such confidence right now, but honestly, in the beginning, I said yes to everything. I was such a people pleaser. You know, like no matter what it was, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. Would you do it for free? Yes, I would do it for free. Like I would do everything. Like just give me, you know, all the work. But like I did, you know, like basically go through burnout, and like just didn't have time to enjoy anything else besides, you know, like sitting in front of my computer working from like the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep. You know, again, it's coming back to the whole point about learning through mistakes, right? Learning through these lessons. It was, I would have never known that, even if I had listened to a podcast episode, or even if I had watched a YouTube video of someone telling me that, I might have been like, nah, I can still do it. But honestly, like I'm telling like the audience right now that you can skip that part. Like, do not say yes to every single opportunity, because that will not bring you joy. And also know your worth. I think that was another huge lesson for me, because I really took on projects that either didn't pay at all or paid so little that it was not worth my time, not just financially, but also emotionally. So yeah, definitely need to have that filter. I love that you said it's a filter, and yeah, it's so powerful and so important for every single entrepreneur and every single business owner.
Yeah, and I love that you've brought up now the know your worth part of things. And we had a great episode right back in the early days with Janine Liston, the pricing lady, and she was talking about pricing and knowing your worth and
Mm,
confidently charging more. But also she also highlighted that point that, it's not just the pricing isn't necessarily just about the cost, it's about the value. So if it is an event and maybe you're not being paid or not being paid your full amount, as long as you're getting some value back from that, it's a value exchange. It's not all just about the pricing. But
mm,
I've heard from so many women who are giving their services away for free without getting that return. They're not getting anything back from it at all. Sometimes it's just our sort of limiting beliefs that hold us back, and I think it's really important to assess where is that value, what is the value I'm getting back from this, and is this really worth it for me, or is this just my lack of confidence or limiting beliefs holding me back here, and I just need to take a deep breath and go for it and say nope. You now need to pay me for this, because
oh my gosh, I
otherwise,
love that.
yeah,
So,
you can't
yeah.
build a sustainable business if you're not getting paid.
Absolutely. I love what you said. I actually also want to bring up another story quickly, two stories, if that's okay. I have a lot of stories.
We love stories.
Yeah. So like about, the value and like draining you not financially but also emotionally part. I actually took on a project with this guy back like at the very beginning of my business, and he was recommended by a friend. So I thought, yeah, I'm going to take on this project and just work with him on this event. And in the beginning, I thought something's kind of off with this person. But then as I started working with him more and more, I realized he was just like becoming ruder and ruder. He was like very sexist and very racist. And he was like, "Oh, you're the laziest person I've ever worked with. You don't know anything. You're just a foreigner. Why are you in my country?" Like, just like it was terrible. But I couldn't say no because I didn't know how to. I thought that just because I committed to this, like it wasn't even like a big project or anything. It was like a tiny event. Just because I committed to it, I had to like handle and I had to kind of stand all these like negative remarks and all these like negativity in my life. So honestly, I would never ever let anyone speak me, treat me like that. And I know, and I don't think anyone should, no matter if they're paying you like millions or anything like that. Like know your worth, right? Like know that you deserve so much more respect and so much more, like not just emotionally, but just like just that connection and like just not have someone stomping over you. So yeah, that's kind of tying back into knowing your worth part. Yeah, so that did happen. It wasn't a good story, but that was, yeah, a part of my journey.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing that with us, because I know you're not alone in that story. In fact, I was having a conversation with someone just this weekend about a very similar situation. And it's so important to understand your values and stick with them. And I think as women, we can have a sense of duty sometimes. Oh, I've committed to this, I have to see it through. And you don't. If the person you're working with isn't playing ball and it is no longer fun and it's just not aligning to your values or anything, then you can walk away. And I had a client who was like one of the, well, it was the largest company in the world that I was working with doing this visibility program for them. And it all started well, but then they changed the project manager partway through, and the new person, and they were just under so much pressure that it really
Yeah.
underlined that everything that I was helping them to, that their whole message was not the reality of their business. And I was like, I can't help you put this message out when my direct experience with this team is that that is not at all what's happening within your organization. And I walked
Mhm.
away from the project, and I never even sent them an invoice or anything. I was like, I can't be involved in this. And it felt so good. My
Mhm.
husband was like, you did what? But I was like, yeah, I mean, I can't do my best work in that situation anyway. And if I'm not performing on my best, then I'm letting myself down, my business, my reputation. And you need to protect your headspace as well, because
Mm,
you're a small business owner, if you have people undermining you and your value, then that's going to impact your ability to build your business and perform at your best for your other clients. It's really important to stick to that. So thank you so much for sharing that story with
yeah.
us.
Yeah, honestly, like I love what you just said. At the end of the day, it's an experience, and everybody, there are road bumps, right? Like the entrepreneurial journey is not smooth. If it is, it's probably either like one in a million chances, or you are very lucky. But like everyone's going to run into some kind of roadblocks. And I do want to just like talk about my second story really quickly, and it's like kind of the complete opposite of that. So that was at the very beginning of my journey. And this story that I want to talk about was just before COVID hit. I was working with one of the most amazing nonprofits in Japan. They basically have a suicide prevention hotline, and they do workshops to prevent suicide, like raise suicide prevention awareness. And it was amazing because I did one of their biggest fundraising events, and we had like I think 500 people walk up Tokyo Tower to raise money, and they had like the most funds raised ever. I managed the entire event, and that was my biggest and most just like it made me feel so incredible. I was like with my little clipboard, like walking around, and everyone would come up to me, and I'd be like, yeah, do that and do that. And then at the end, I was just like, wow, like it's not even about the money, right? It's not at all, because it was a nonprofit event. It was about the value, again, like tying into my value. And because I think at the end of the day, no matter where in your journey you are, it's so important to also give back, either through free value or through giving back to the society, to the community. And it just made me feel so amazing. And I was like, that was like the moment where I thought, oh, I made it. Like I really, like have gone out there and done my part. So yeah, so there's like that bit of tying back into my own value and where I see my business going as well.
Yeah. Oh, thanks for sharing. What a beautiful story, and what a great company to be supporting, or organization.
Mhm. Yeah.
So we talked earlier about and that, but also you've said yes to another idea that you've had. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your new TripAdvisor style platform?
Absolutely. So basically, at the end, in the beginning of 2020, I was in the industry, also working with the Japan government in promoting tourism, and I was also supposed to be part of the Olympics, helping them with their events. And obviously, all of those disappeared because of COVID. So trust me, I struggled. I really struggled for months. I kept going back and forth and saying, "Oh yeah, it's going to be fine." No, it's not going to be fine. I had a lot of doubts and a lot of just like not sure where I was going to go with my business. So I started to talk to a lot of different people online, because, I have been an entrepreneur for a while, and I wanted to see what other people was up to and just give back a little bit wherever I can. And I realized that a lot of people were super overwhelmed with all the information online. There were, so many courses and coaches, and I'm not saying anyone's not legit. But like there are a lot of false information as well out there. So what I basically done is I created Your Entrepreneur Resources, which is my new business, where I connect entrepreneurs and solopreneurs and small business owners with courses, programs, coaches, memberships, and like even tools and software that I love and I've used and I can vouch for. So like say for example, someone is looking for like an Instagram coach, they can come to the platform. So it's like TripAdvisor, but for businesses. That's what I say. So they can come in and look for, like what I would recommend. And other people can leave reviews as well. So it's like a like a library, like a database of information. And I try to be as honest as possible in all of my reviews. And if I think it's not for a certain type of people, entrepreneurs, then I'd say, okay, like that might not be for you, whereas this might be good for you. So, you know, like connecting people with the right resources.
I think that's going to be such a powerful tool because, as you say, people are overwhelmed, and like there are so many courses, and the prices can vary massively. And then they have this buy now, and it's like it's next to nothing, and you get all of this, and you're like, but is that any good? And when you put under pressure that way, and I understand it's a if we're not given a deadline, then we just don't move at all. So that is an
Mm-hmm.
important part of the process, but it can be overwhelming sometimes. So I love that you've
Mm-hmm.
taken that on board, and you've found a solution to that. And giving reviews, I think, is really helpful to help people find the right course, because there are this different, everyone's got a different need. So if you can help them understand for your stage of business and for your need, this is going to be great for you, or
Mm-hmm.
actually for your stage, that one over here is going to be better. And so I think that's going to be so valuable.
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, I'm just trying to give back and try to help people because I like purchase courses and, you know, like purchase software that I got it and I'm like, oh gosh, like why did I spend the money? I fell into the trap of like, again, like I think scarcity is important in sales, but sometimes it's so intense in that moment and you're overwhelmed and you know that FOMO as well, the fear of missing out. So you just like get every single thing that's thrown at you. So I don't want anyone to have to go through that, especially for new entrepreneurs, because we don't have the money to spend on, you know, like thousands and thousands of dollars of like courses and programs and software. So where there are definitely value in a lot of amazing like courses or programs that like are quite expensive or in thousands, I have taken a few. I love them. But for newer entrepreneurs, if they are struggling already as it is, it's, you know, sometimes might be better to get some lower ticket offers to start with and then like kind of work their way up.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so important as an entrepreneur and business owner to invest in yourself. It's really one of the most important things you need to do. But at the same time, as you say, when you're starting out, you don't always have lots of spare cash in your back pocket. You don't have like 25 grand to invest in a top coaching program. But you can do it in incremental stages, and build as you, and kind of invest as you grow. So I love that you're helping people with that.
Yeah, thank you. I cannot agree with you more actually, because when I was first starting out, never took any courses. I was just watching free YouTube videos and reading free things and watching free webinars where I get like a massive sales pitch at the end. But
And
as
at the beginning
I
sometimes.
yeah, exactly. um, and I think as I started, you know, like checking out lower ticket offers, I started, you know, getting like that $27, 47, 97. And then I realized that, oh my gosh, it has saved me so much time investing into these courses, these templates, even, you know, like these graphic templates I think are so important. Everyone should buy graphic templates. And yeah, I feel like it's so important to invest into yourself, not just in the sense of like software or program, but like you said, like a coach, a mentor, and just even like a weekend, like a retreat, like, you know, those kind of things to kind of get your mind away from your business for a little bit and take a step back to really truly allow yourself to breathe. Yeah, I think like traveling too, not right now, but just taking some time to let yourself go and not think about your business 24/7. I think that's super important.
Yeah, great. And yeah, I mean, as you say, there's so much free information out there, and a lot of it is very good quality, but you never quite know when or how to apply it to your business. So you might be getting great advice, but it's just not suitable for your stage of business, and there's no way to know
Mhm.
that. So the courses and coaches are that next step that can help you take that information further and really apply it, and so you get accelerate your success. So
Mhm.
I wish you every success with that. We'll put the links in the show notes below. But Jess, can you remind people what the web address is if they're out and about?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's yourentrepreneur.resources.com. And I'm on Instagram and YouTube and podcasts, everything. It's also called Your Entrepreneur Resources.
Great. And if they want to know more about your events and services there, is that the same web address?
Yeah, they can go there, or they can also just message DM me directly on Instagram. I'd love to chat. So yeah, like always open to have a conversation and potentially collaborate or like help with any kind of questions that you might have.
Fantastic. Thank you. So you have given so much insight and inspiration and everything so much. We've got so much value from what you've shared today so far. Is there any last piece of advice or anything that you would like to share back with other women building businesses that perhaps we haven't touched on yet?
Yeah, I think I have two and a half things I would
Okay.
like to mention.
I'm really curious
My
now.
well, my one and a half is kind of like a combination between something I've talked about already and something that I haven't. So the part about just do it, I think it is the like one of the best advice you'd ever get with, especially when you're just starting out, overcoming that perfectionism and just, just getting out there, hit that publish button and just put yourself out there in front of your ideal audience. I think it's so important. But my other half, or like I don't even know, 0.75 pot is I can't do maths. It's validating your idea as well. I think I've made so many mistakes. I started two startups and I failed both of them. I spent so much money and so much time and so much energy, and it was basically because I didn't validate my idea. I went in thinking, oh yeah, people would spend money on this. I love it, so people must love it too. And no, like not at all. So 100% validate your idea. Don't spend months and months doing market research, because I think that's completely not necessary. But do spend the time to see where your audience is, like where are they hanging out, who they are. That kind of ties back into the niching down part as well, because like you don't have to niche down completely in the beginning, but through your market research you are going to naturally niche down, because you're going to see the same people or hear the same message or know about the same issues or the same problems. So those three things, like validating your idea, niching down, and also just doing it, that's like my like three little parts that tie in together. And then just one quick other thing that I would like to say is I know it's a really random tip, but I think everyone should write a book, because books give you so much credibility. Sometimes people think, oh yeah, like it must be so difficult. You have to get a publisher, you have to spend like months and years writing this book, and it's not true at all. You can start somewhere kind of small. You can self-publish. Put your stories down, put your tips down. That gives you the credibility. It gives you so much visibility. And having a book, especially if you become a best-selling author, it's just, it opens up so many doors. I published multiple books, and one of them got onto the best-selling list. And because of that, I had been able to book more podcasts, interviews. I'd been able to, speak in different and all kinds of opportunities. So if it's not on your list of things to do, like consider writing a book.
Great advice. And yeah, I'm actually writing a book at the moment.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so and on networking, actually, there are tips before, because quite often I go out networking now and people come up to me and they're, oh, I wish I had your confidence. It's like, okay, you don't see how it feels on the inside.
Mm,
But I really wanted to show people my way of networking, because a lot of books I read were very helpful, but very often from the extrovert point of view. And I wanted to
mm.
kind of, there's a big part of the process that I went through that I see missing from most networking books. So it's going to be just short and very actionable, and hopefully inspirational as well. So that's coming out
Amazing.
soon. Well, in the spring, I think. So maybe not far after we publish this episode.
Yay,
But
definitely
that's
want
really
to check it
exciting.
out.
So we'll add the links to your books as well in the show notes underneath.
Thank you.
Venese, thank you so much for being on the show today. I've loved everything you've shared with us, and I think it's going to really help so many people to move forward with confidence and test out some events and build their network, and yeah, really take their business to the next level and keep looking for those opportunities.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I love being here and would love to connect with anybody that's interested in connecting with me.
Great. Thanks, Venise.